it's important to start the conversation with saying that this is a very hard undertaking for the whole team creating this, and we are hopeful this will succeed, but think it's a very hard task. This episode will focus on what the production is and how you create a good One Piece live action show.
So, who's responsible for the show?
Primarily a production company called Tomorrow Studios, with Marty Edelstein and Becky Clements at the top. They announced that they were doing a One Piece live action show 2017, so 3 years ago, or 2.5 years ago. And now we have the showrunner, which is Steven Maeda. And then one of the main writers as well is Matt Owens, who wrote parts of Luke Cage, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. and the pretty bad The Defenders on Netflix.
Really? He was responsible for that one?
Yeah, I think he only wrote like 2 episodes of The Defenders. But yeah, there wasn't any single good episode of that show, I think. But I think it's worth pointing out that Steven Maeda, he was executive producer, I think, on X-Files and a writer. And then he was an executive producer and writer on Lost. And I'm a huge Lost fan, so props to him. You know more about this. Tomorrow Studios are creating more stuff than this, right?
Yeah, indeed. They are developing a Cowboy Bebop live action as well. And I think it's due earlier than the One Piece TV show.
Yeah.
So it will be very interesting to see the quality of Cowboy Bebop. If it's comparable to what we will get with One Piece. Yeah, and the main cast in Cowboy Bebop is John Cho.
John Cho. From... Harold and
Star
Kumar
Trek.
goes to White Castle, right? As well.
Oh, I haven't seen that one.
It's the best stoner flicks ever. The main people behind Tomorrow Studios, Edelstein, who seems to be pretty good at finding good talent, because they are only the production company behind this, and probably Steven will be the main showrunner that takes all the creative decisions. But Marty was an agent before he started Tomorrow Studios, and he was the guy that actually got The Rock into acting. And people like Tina Fey and the showrunner behind the 70s Show and Third Rock from the Sun. So he has an eye for talent, I think. Oda!
So, what will Oda's involvement be with this live-action TV show? He will be an executive producer, and he had a live-action TV series in his mind since, like you said, 2014.
Yeah, exactly. When this news came 2017 that they were actually producing a live-action show, he said that he had been looking for a partner for 3 years, way back then. So it means that he started looking 2014 for a good business partner for a live action show. So this was something that Oda himself wanted to do. He's the driving force behind why we're even seeing this.
And it makes sense as well, right? Since he was writing and producing the movie Strong World.
Yeah.
And since then he's been executive producer of Film C and Film Gold as well. So he has been branching out to different medias before.
I think it's worth pointing out that Oda is he's not afraid to saying no to stuff he doesn't like.
Yeah. And he has done it before. Like the first script of what was supposed to be Strong World. He said no, and they redid it, and Oda wrote everything by himself, apparently.
That man works too much. I think Oda won't write parts of this show, but he will have a very strong presence At least in the bigger picture things like the season arcs and what characters to skip and stuff like that.
Say if things are okay or not when they're gonna do like stuff that differs from the manga, I guess.
Yeah, I think so. And it seems like if we look back to his SBS from, I think it was volume 26, when he said that he's not afraid of other countries changing names and stuff like that for characters and places. So he seemed open to the idea that One Piece can change depending on country and adaptation, and it can still be One Piece. And I think that is very, very, very important for people to understand that this is an adaptation. This is not supposed to be One Piece the manga. Then you can go and read the manga. It's another story within the same
it's not
world.
one copy. Yeah. Which is important, so it can work well as a TV show adaptation. Like in that TV series medium. Otherwise it would be it wouldn't work.
No. There's been two main problems maybe behind a lot of the bad adaptations. One of them is that the creators doesn't understand the source material at all. Dragon Ball Evolution maybe is a perfect example of that. And then we have another problem, which is when you're trying to be too focused on what the source material is doing. When you're trying to do exactly the same thing but in a new media. Manga and anime is a whole other beast than film and TV is, especially Western TV. Will look very different from what maybe people are thinking of, and that doesn't have to be a bad thing.
So, like, what do you have in mind? What do you think could be different?
One Piece is very long, it's very complicated, it's very full of details. Too full of details, too many characters for a Netflix show or a TV show of any kind. If we compare to Game of Thrones, which is a very, very complicated book series, A Song of Ice and Fire, with a lot of characters, we saw the same thing. They had to remove or combine characters and places. Sometimes for the better, a lot of times maybe for the worse, but that all depends on the showrunners.
Kill off characters, make up new characters.
Everyone loved like the 3 or 4 first seasons of Game of Thrones, and they did the exact same thing there, but the series got bad after that, especially the last couple of seasons, and that is the reason why people are like using that as a bad example. You have to use all the characters from the source material and stuff like that, which is bullshit. Even if we love all the side characters in One Piece, not all of them are that important to the story. And I think that is the main core on what they should change and should have the freedom to change. Find what is the core of One Piece, what is the core of the characters, and then remove everything that you don't need. Zoro's green hair, that doesn't give his character anything at all. We readers love it because he looks fucking dope, but it will look stupid as hell in a live action show.
Names as well, like Smoker. Can you be named Smoker in a live action? It sounds kinda weird.
Yeah, they can call him Smoker. I don't think he should be named that in a live action show. If we look at two of the biggest adaptions going on right now, we have Marvel on one end and then we have DC on the other. What Marvel is changing a lot of things from the source material, from the comic books, but they are most often they are very true to the characters. So if we look at like Civil War, which was a very big comic book fight between all the main characters on different sides, and then they did a film adaptation of that, and it was completely different. The conflict was completely different, but the main characters were the same. What they fight for and what they are standing for were the same. So people didn't complain that much. Maybe the hardcore super mega fans, but most people liked it. And then we had DC, which more or less everyone hated, the Batman versus Superman movie. Fucking awful. Where they change, like Superman is a pessimist that kills people, and Batman kills people, which he never does in the comic books. And they didn't believe in the characters from the source material, and then they fucked up everything. Whereas Marvel changed the story, they can change everything, but the characters are very consistent. And we love the story mostly for the characters. We have like a couple of core things in One Piece that are very, I think you have to have these for it to feel like One Piece. One is the characters, the main characters especially. They have to feel like the main characters. Then you have the optimism of One Piece. It's a very optimistic series. Things will solve. You have all these dreams. Everyone are dreaming of a better future or something. And especially Luffy is achieving those dreams often. And the dreams passing along to people. And then you have it, as Oda has put it in his words, the manly romance. The kick for adventure. Seeing that cool island in the far distance and want to know what's there. Want to find out what that treasure is. I think it have to keep these main core things to even feel like One Piece. Do you have anything that you think it has to be left in One Piece?
You put me to the wall here, Robin.
The tone of the series. What is this supposed to look or feel like?
I think
the manga is very colorful, or it's black and white, but yeah.
You can have set one tone that goes through the whole live action, and I think it would be better for the live action and for its marketing and everything if they stick to one tone, and that should be more piratey, even more piratey than the manga, like almost like Pirates of the Caribbean in some way.
Yeah, a combination of two things that I think they should look at. One is Pirates of the Caribbean, which is pretty fun, even if it's dark and grim in some way. And then you have Guardians of the Galaxy. It's very colorful, but not in a super mega playful way. It's more funny, quirky, cool way. Combination of those two would feel One Piece, even if it isn't exactly like the manga.
Guardians of the Galaxy, it's like part high-end science fiction and part older kind of movies, right? With soundtrack, with clothes, with the one-liners. That's exactly what I want One Piece to be like. Part Pirates of the Caribbean, part like 70 movies from the 70s, and I think that would capture the feeling pretty well. Yeah,
and they can do a lot of variation in tone and style, but within this confined space, so to speak. So keep the overall tone consistent, and then especially if we look at East Blue, it's pretty similar. The islands are pretty similar, and the villains aren't that crazy and stuff like that. So I think it will be easy from the start to get a nice tone going, and then we can change it up if it gets more seasons. And when they get to the new world, things will get fucked up. The characters. This will be a 10 episode series, the first season at least. And they have said that it will start in East Blue. How do you think they should approach the characters we see in East Blue and the introduction of the five first main Straw Hats?
They don't have to follow the manga's timeline of introductions and all those stuff. I think they can introduce all the 5 Straw Hats from East Blue in the first episode. And we see like points of view from the different characters, stuff happening in their home islands, several plot points starting at once, and then they merge together, like a normal TV show basically. So first episode you could have Luffy, Ace and Sabo, and at the same time we could see maybe Sanji in the Germa Kingdom, for example, and it like evolves into later present time, and then we see when Luffy's taking off, and at the same time like Sanji is in Baratie, Usopp is lying about the pirates, and Nami is doing her mission, money collecting mission, and then they all like come together, almost sort of like The Witcher, but less jumping in different timelines. Everything is like the same timeline, just different point of views.
I think that will be a pretty important part as well, that we see these 5 characters as all main characters. The manga introduced Luffy, and then we got an introduction to each and every character along the way. I think it will fit very much that you introduce all of them at the same time, and then we connect them later in the season as we go along.
And we have other major characters as well. You know, we have Shanks could get some more screen time. You know, he's a very popular character. We got Buggy, we got Smoker. Dragon can be the mystery character, you know. We could get some aspects from Arlong's background, you know, from the Fishman Island flashback immediately into season 1.
Yeah, I think they should have the freedom to take things from later in the manga and put them in East Blue. East Blue it's a good starting place story-wise, but at the same time it's not boring, but not that many things happen. Villains are pretty one-sided if you compare it to the later villains. The conflicts aren't that big. If we connect it to a bigger picture right from the start, I think it will feel much more alive from the get-go.
Captain Kuro's story, though, it would make great TV, don't you think?
Yeah. Kuro is one of the villains. They have to keep his...
Like a plot twist. Butler turned into the killer.
Perfect plot twist. Yeah, and they should do him even more sympathetic earlier, I think.
You know who they could have introduced in the first season, actually? Bartolomeo.
No?
He's from Luketown. He is from East Blue. We still got Garp and Mihawk in season 1 too.
And I think they have a couple of those characters where they can cast pretty big names to get attraction to the show from people that have no clue what One Piece is. And there's a lot of people here in the West that doesn't know it.
Did you read the quote by Oda? He said he met a famous foreign superstar like just a week ago. He gave this famous foreign superstar his autograph, and he said to the superstar that he's been a huge fan of his movies, and he basically grew up on his movies, meaning it's an older superstar.
Yeah, the main characters won't be like, I've seen all the discussions in casting threads like, yeah, we should have Leonardo DiCaprio or Sanji. No, fuck that. You won't get a Hollywood A star for the main characters.
Of
that
course
will
not.
be too expensive. And he's too old, so I don't know why you're even... Yeah, they will find mostly like either entirely new or unknown actors or people we have seen in some things, but they are still not Hollywood A-listers.
Like that guy Cowboy Bebop, John Cho. I mean, he's been in huge movies, but in support roles.
Yeah, exactly. He's not a selling ticket for Hollywood movies, but he will be for a Netflix show. Let's say if they take some of the kids or something from Stranger Things, that will...
Please no.
But yeah, people will recognize those kinds of actors, but nobody knows their names. People like that. Should we talk season and arcs?
First season, should it be all about East Blue?
I think a perfect ending point for it is when they enter the Grand Line. The whole thing where they put their feet on a barrel and proclaim their dream. Do you think it should go longer than East Blue?
No, I think Luketown would be a pretty sweet final. But of course they should incorporate storylines that appears later. They can incorporate already in season 1. If season 2 is going to be about Alabasta and Crocodile, they could import some of Baroque works into season 1, for example.
And Zoro had heard about it.
Yeah, and they invited
approached
him,
right? Yeah, right. So you can have that, just like small hints from the get-go that bigger things are happening. I think they should compress a couple of those arcs, so we're not getting like a new villain in each and every episode. I think it needs a proper big bad guy and more of a red thread than Luffy's adventure. Season 2 will have a like bigger Alabasta. They are building up to this final fight with Crocodile and saving this country. But East Blue needs something of that. Maybe make Buggy a bigger character or something.
Yeah, since he would be a recurring villain even in the first season. We got Smoker, Buggy, Arlong, maybe one episode about Captain Kuro. Don Krieg.
Don Krieg isn't that fun of a character. I guess Sanji and Bharati needs a villain, so maybe they could maybe use the Arlong pirates, that a couple of his underlings, or that Don Krieg works for Arlong or something like that, so we are building up even more towards Luffy kicking Arlong's ass and saving Nami's village.
Or Buggy. Buggy could take Krieg's place.
Buggy.
Then he will show up 3 times in the first season.
Morgan maybe as well. He's a pretty boring character. I think it's important to establish that there are bad Marines pretty early, but I think they could maybe squish like Morgan's arc and Buggy's arc together or something like that.
Rumors. Reports. We have rumors, or so-called reports, that the budget will have between 9 to 10 million in budget each episode, and it's confirmed we're gonna have 10 episodes already, so that would basically mean 90 to 100 million US dollar in budget.
Yeah, it's pretty high. This rumor came from that Marty Edelstein said 3 years ago that this will be one of the most expensive TV shows of all time. It has to be. Yeah, at the time 10 to 15 millions were the highest budget for per episode shows. We have like Game of Thrones, the last season was 15 million. The Crown, the Netflix show, they are about 13 million. Then we have right now The Mandalorian at 15 million per episode. And then Witcher on Netflix is about 10 million. There are reports about, at least. So that would put it somewhere in that ballpark at least.
That's amazing, man.
Maybe Witcher is the best comparison here, seeing as Mandalorian have all that Star Wars and Disney muscle behind it, but Witcher is a show on Netflix with a lot of CGI.
Yeah, and another huge franchise. And the CGI in Witcher is decent. It's not too bad. It's okay if you're not positive to it, if you don't want it to happen, but still keep an open mind about it, I think is fair enough.
This is something that Oda himself pursued.
Exactly.
Even if you don't like each and everything some of the people behind it have done, they seem all to be very established creators, and they know to get a show rolling, so to speak. Steven Maeda, the showrunner behind this whole thing, has shown to us that he is a very big One Piece fan. So hopefully he actually really loves the series and knows what it's all about. Because some things will change, and you have to just go with the flow. It has to change to work in a live action show. It has to change because of budget restraints and character restraints and stuff like that. So yeah, there's a lot of changes that has to be done. You don't have to love it, but hopefully the worst case scenario, it sucks. Best case scenario, it's super awesome, and it will bring a lot of people into the franchise that has never heard or read about One Piece.
Listen, best case scenario, it's a huge success. You get all the Japanese merchandise, all the novels, all the data books, all the Viver cards, everything will get localized because of the show. And One Piece games, man. Netflix made a success out of Witcher. Who makes Witcher?
Yeah.
What if we get CD Projekt Red One Piece video game? Or even worse scenario is the One Piece live action is a huge success. It goes ahead of the manga. Steve Maeda and Matt Owens, they have a talk with Oda about the ending. And they film the ending of One Piece before the manga's finished, basically spoiling all of us fans. Does that
They're
remind
doing a
you
Game of Thrones
something?
Yeah.
Fuck.